Hello and welcome to another Backlog Weekly. There we go. I remembered the name a little bit faster. So, straight to business. What did we play this past week? Like I said in the previous video, I was playing I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, which is a rather interesting name. Every time I say it, I can't get over the fact that it's a very strange name for a game. Even though it's named after a book, it's a very strange name for a book too. But yeah, I actually managed to finish that yesterday, on Thursday, so that's it. That's it for this game. We're gonna be moving on to Prince of Persia: Sands of Time next. But, for now we're gonna talk about this game and this game only. And I figured, since I finished it, I might as well show you a little bit on what's going on here. So, the basis of the game is that you are controlling these 5 people, separately, who have been trapped by this supercomputer gone mad, called M. It was Allied something something. Can't remember what the M stood for. But anyway, he's been torturing these people for the past 109 years at this point. Simply because that's, I think, towards the end of it, it starts to be obvious that that's the only thing he can do anymore. Because he's killed everyone else. He's killed at least nearly everyone else. So all that he has left is torturing these people. So the way the game works, of course, is you got the 5 people here. You can, of course, it always starts off from the start. You can then load up the game if you so wish. And pretty much you pick one of the characters. What character would I like to show off? We can go with Penny, which was the one I first started the game. So he will sort of tell you what he wants you to do. And usually what he wants you to do is not what you wanna do. So sometimes it doesn't go quite as much against it, but in this case he sends him here. And he's always like torturing them, so he tells this guy that he needs to go grab something to eat pretty much, or he allows him to eat something, because he hasn't apparently eaten in like years, probably. But he's gonna make it a lot. You know, he's of course not actually gonna allow him to eat anything. Or at least he's gonna make his best to avoid it. So you start with this. This is what I started with originally, and first of all you might notice you have very basic buttons: to walk, to look at, take, use. Then you have, besides use, you have give, and you have push. Talk to is pretty basic, but then most interesting one was of course swallow, which is an interesting one indeed. And you do actually use it sometimes. Mostly I do feel like a lot of this could have been under either take or use. Take or use. So they maybe gone a little bit overboard with that, and it's sometimes only specific. But yeah, we can quickly see here what the torture thing is about. We'll look around the caves, and there's the... Oh, apparently we walked down, but yeah.
You son of a bitch. You've cleared my mind, but crippled my legs.
Yeah, he's been crippled and whatnot. So yeah, essentially it is very much just
This graveyard.
old school point and click. So that, you know,
I feel as though the dead could.
your basic 90s point and click, I would say. Of course there was harder games in the 80s and whatnot. This is sort of your mid to late 90s point and click. You go around, you point at things, you solve puzzles. And
Is that fire?
the puzzles, like the difficulty of them, vary quite a bit. Of course, sometimes the buttons are like, you have to use doors, but you can walk through some.
Food cooking nearby only makes it.
Has its own problems. It has its own problems. Story-wise, it was very good. I liked it a lot story-wise.
Since I've tasted
And most of the puzzles. Although this guy's particular puzzle was one of the more annoying ones, because this one you can actually screw up.
canned peaches.
And you can screw it up in a way that you can have a save point at a point where you can no longer complete it. You cannot softlock it in the same way you can with the aforementioned 80s games. Because if you fail it, it will just throw you back to the character selection, and then you can just reselect the character. So it's not like screwing up the whole game, but it was still rather annoying, and especially hard to try to do different things, and it was really obscure. Like, there is some god-awful obscure puzzles where you need to do things. And especially, well, I might want to show the sort of torment. So yeah, I came here to show off quickly the torture part. So like I said, he's hungry, he wants to eat. We found the fruit. Relatively easy, so... And here we come. Could, you know, like I said, usually you could just as well use it. Most likely, but we got the swallow button, so we can try this. Let's eat it, we're hungry.
Hurts, hurts, hurts.
And as you can see, so... That's the sort of part of the torture. Might as well show... I don't want to show too many puzzle solutions, but...
What did they used to call them? Single.
Oh yeah, it's also got some really nasty themes.
Probably depend upon the generosity of the rest of the village. Friggin' welfare parasites.
Calling these people welfare parasites sort of caught me off guard when I started the game. And this kid. Like, what was the...
The boy's a friggin' mutant.
Ah, there we go. Freaking mutant. This is, of course, in regards to the food thing. Find some pot of food here.
Hurts, hurts.
And again, not too great. We can actually look at it now.
This swill's made of transistors and springs.
So very tasty. But yeah, it's very much your basic point and click. So first of all, if you if you're not into stories, you know, you just probably want to stay away from point and clicks altogether. Personally, I like it, but it does have some really fucked up puzzle parts. I really like the story. And I'd say, like, 2/3 of the puzzles I liked. But this guy's story had some really obscure stuff to it. And the end sequence to this game was just... Because once you finish all the separate stories of these 5 characters, they have their own separate characters, but they usually end up having to deal with their past. Sort of sins of the past, in one way or another. Which is how they sort of overcome their difficulties and sort of mess with Am, who expects them to fail, of course. Yeah, you do each one of those, and then the story kicks into an end sequence. And that shit made absolutely no sense. There was nothing in that made sense. I ended up only reason I got through this game yesterday was that I blasted through the last 2 characters fairly quickly, and I had like 45 minutes left at the end of the cast when I got to the end sequence. So I figured that I'm gonna want to finish it off there, because tomorrow, Saturday, is my 6-hour cast, and I didn't feel like, you know, I don't wanna just have the last hour of this game, last hour or 2 of this game in tomorrow's cast. So I decided that I'm gonna push it through today. And then I tried making sense out of the end sequence, and just no. Just absolutely no. Like, one example that shouldn't spoil too much. I can tell you that there was a point where you have to use... what's it? A remote controller on a gargoyle statue. And there is no, you know, prior knowledge to that. There is nothing that you did. The items, most of the items are something you saw in the other people's, you know, in the playthroughs. Items you've collected in their individual stories. And a lot of them have, like, some sort of symbolic meanings, like there's an item of love and entropy and access and stuff like that. The remote control was just a remote control, and you use it on a gargoyle that's just a gargoyle, and there is no prior example of why those two might go together. I hadn't even seen the remote control anywhere else in the game. So that might sort of give you an idea on what the end sequence was like, and it was full of that. And the remote control isn't just lying around, it's under some stuff that will actually kill you if you screw it up. So you need to pick the right one. You need to pick the right one and it just might die. So... And it was all like that. It was all like that. So I ended up having to actually complete this game shamefully with, you know, completely handheld by GameFAQs. I couldn't, because nothing in that end sequence made sense. In the end, I would sort of recommend this with some reservations. But it's not a bad game. I did like it. And it's not overly long. That's a very good thing. It wasn't overly long. It was about probably about 10 hours for me, with some game facts, when I got stuck too badly. And one more thing. This book right here. This is supposed to be a hint book and it's complete bullshit. This never, not once did this thing. Actually, I think just once. Just once it gave me an actual useful hint. Which made me think, made me realize that it's supposed to be giving you a hint, but... Okay, that's it. Thanks and bye.